Level 3 Slayer has always had some controversy. It's a combat skill, but doesn't give combat levels, so many level 3s want to train it up. However, the best method is the AFK in Museum for 2k an hour, which doesn't really seem viable for a lot of people. It's too slow, not interactive, and I mean, come on, 7,000 hours for 99? It just isn't realistic for majority of players. However, everything changed with the latest update. With the new Christmas event, Jagex has made fun weapons give minus 100 in all stats. This is huge for the level 3 community, and I mean that in a positive way. Because it's minus 100 stats, that means that now for the first time, level 3s can attack any monster with a guarantee of never hitting over a 0. This means that instead of sitting in museum cleaning finds for 2k an hour, we could do something that's actually fun, likely something that many of you enjoy, killing monsters. I did a small sample test over the past few days to try out some tasks and see how viable this method could be. In this video, I'll discuss my findings and if it's viable enough, and if so, whether or not I'll be finally completing 99 Slayer on my 200 mil all level 3. So let's jump into the method. First of all, we don't do Turio tasks. Turio will assign us stuff like goblins and cows, which are awful XP. Despite the fact I'm 87 Slayer, I cannot use other masters such as Neve and Duradel because they have combat level requirements. So, naturally, we must do Wildy Slayer. Pristilia requires no combat level to grab a task, while additionally not considering my combat level. Meaning, instead of assigning me cows and goblins, she'll want me to fight something big, like a black demon, which is much better when you're as buff as me. I mean, come on guys, look at me. And so, that brings us to our actual tasks. This clip may look overwhelming, but I'll explain what each account is doing and why you need multiple accounts to optimize this method. This is my second ever Anku task. My first one was a mess, but by the time I got here, I was able to maintain a good rhythm and about 3.5k an hour XP, which is great. There's a lot of information to digest about this method, so let me start by explaining why I'm getting Slayer XP, despite doing 0 damage. Basically, the way Slayer mechanics work is when two people are attacking the same monster, half the Slayer XP goes to whoever does the most DPS, while the other half goes to whoever does the last hit. Obviously, my level 3 won't be doing the most DPS, so naturally, I need to get the final hit. My weapon that guarantees the splash, the Christmas Staff, attacks every 4 ticks. So, in a multi-combat scenario, JCW, being the level 3, attacks every 4 ticks with his Christmas Staff. So theoretically, if I use a separate weapon on a different account, and that weapon also attacks every 4 ticks, and if the accounts are attacking in the same tick, in a way, JCW deals the final hit, since it registers the same tick as the other weapon hitting a 10, or whatever amount it hits. So he should get half the XP for dealing the final blow. So now that we know that, let me introduce you to each account on the screen. The top left is this guy, the noob. He's the level 3 who wants to gain Slayer XP, but is too coward to train combat skills himself. At least he has a shiny head, I guess. Next up is the guy on the right, or the Bofa account. His weapon, the Bofa, attacks every 4 ticks, making it easy for the noob to line up their attacks at the same time. He tends to be nice enough to make sure both accounts are lined up exactly in the same tick before completely killing a monster. Lastly, on the bottom left is the Blowpipe account. This guy uses a Blowpipe plus Serp Helm for venom damage, which becomes relevant later on. During these tasks though, he tries to get the next NPC down 50 to 80% damage before the other two are finished killing the other NPC, making kills quicker. With these 3 guys combined, that's how I maximize the efficiency of Wildy Slayer. This works for all tasks that are multi-combat, which in a perfect world would be the only task I'd have to do in the level 3. As I said earlier, I only did 13 of these tasks since I've been busy IRL and working on other accounts, so I don't have an actual block list or even know what tasks I should be skipping yet. I imagine once I have that knowledge and rack up some points, this method will be consistently 10k an hour at minimum, making it only 1300 hours for 99. Personally, it's a grind I would love to do, but I've only just done testing over the past few days. For me to start my actual grind, I've got a couple months to go since I'd like to finish my Max Cape speedrun series first. But because of the hype around the splash weapon, and the fact that I've been waiting for a Slayer update for nearly 3 years, there was 0 chance I was going to be able to not test this for another 2 to 3 months. Hopefully there's a few skillers out there that want to try this method that I've made it clear and easier on how to do it. And for the others, hopefully you'll find this cool and I'm sure you've learned something small today, even though useless. A whole 40 minutes later, I'm coming up to the end of my task. I like the fact that these tasks are long, as moving around a lot is one of the reasons why I always dislike Slayer. As you can see my rate on the screen, I've gained 8k XP from this task at over 13.5k an hour. I'm very happy with it. Also, I forgot to mention, but the way I time Bofa and my staff to hit the same tick, I click on the Bofa account first, then 1 tick later I'll click on my skiller. There are some times where I'm already camping Bofa, and need to jump in on the noob account. So what I'll do is I'll hover over the attack option on my noob and nerd neck the XP drop on the Bofa. Once I see the XP drop, I'll click. The timing is pretty easy to get down once you got it a few times. Anyway, that's the gist of all multi-combat slayer tasks in the Wildy as a level 3. But let's take a look at the single way combat tasks, where the noob and Bofa can't both attack in the same tick. And these tasks suck balls. I mean, this task is basically like 3k an hour, which funnily enough still is better than Museum, but it's still so slow compared to the multitask. I barely have any points early on, so I've been getting a lot of single way tasks, and axes are something I got a few times. Overall, I have to say I might like these more than skeletons, but what sucks about them is that to my knowledge, I have to AFK for 10 minutes outside while I lose aggro on my level 3 before I can start killing them. The good news is, since they're all in the little area, they're relatively quick after those 10 minutes. So, if you remember the Slayer mechanics and how I get half XP, I need to do the final hit on the level 3. I can't attack the same tick since it's not multi-combat, so I changed my Bofa account into another blowpipe account. And if I'm wearing a Serp helm as well, it guarantees a Venom as long as I hit. What I have to do is on each account, I try to get the axe down as much damage as I can without killing it. Once it's damaged enough, I hit it on my level 3 just once and then the Venom finishes it off. I also bring Venge on the rare occasion the axe is hit, but it's not that often since there's such a low level. Overtime damage such as Venom does not count as a new hit. So if I bonk the axe on the level 3 and the Venom itself does the final hit, it counts as my level 3 doing it. I'm getting about 3k an hour this task, not counting the first 10 minutes I had to sit outside idle. So I guess it actually is only 2k an hour if you include that. This is what most single combat tasks are like, and they are not worth wanting. Also, I do want to make a quick disclaimer about the staff. So I don't use Twitter that often, and I unfortunately was late to this thread, but there has been some talks of a very small percentage of people wanting the staff nerfed. In my opinion, there's no harm keeping it. Think about it, I'm sure many of you think of level 3 Slayer as recoils. Maybe that was a thing in RS2, honestly not sure. But the fact is that we don't have a splash weapon before this, which meant we couldn't even do a recoil method. It doesn't make sense. Obviously, I'm utilizing alts, but this is exactly what Recoil Slayer will look like in 2022, where people have access to other accounts. It just makes sense to keep it. It's not like it's AFK or overpowered. The XP an hour makes sense in my opinion. I'm very hopeful that Jagex considers keeping the staff or adding another weapon for us to splash with for 0 combat gain. We just got Poison Dynamite, which allows us to hit on monsters without gaining XP, meaning we can now get boss drops such as pets, and keeping this as a way to tag monsters in Quest or Slayer for XP, in my opinion, just lines up perfectly with that. Poison Dynamite cannot be utilized for some things that the staff can, such as Slayer or tagging rats for 2-tick fishing. It can't be utilized for Slayer because you need to use Cave Nightshades to make it. These are an untradeable item and it's very unrealistic to get when going for a number such as 99 Slayer. As for the rats, you need them to attack you for 2-tick fishing, meaning they can't die. However, Dynamite, when used on them, does indeed kill them. Now I feel like I might get a few comments asking, why not just grind Slayer until they nerf the staff? And I have considered it. But the reality is this. Let's say I do play 80 hours before the next update, and I gain 1 mil Slayer XP. I'll still be 8 mil off 99. I'm not going to sit in a museum for 4,000 hours to finish it off, so it's really just a matter of being hopeful that this method can stay in the game for the long term. And I do believe that not just me, many other level 3s, both completionists and noobs, would like there to be a splash weapon as well. Somebody invited me to a level 3 Discord and I checked it out, and they showed me a poll on what they thought about reverting the weapon back, and I mean, the numbers speak for itself. Of course, this is a small portion, but 97% yes still means something in my opinion. So hopefully in 3 months we'll be able to still train Slayer. So now you guys learned how I do multi-combat tasks and single combat newbie tasks, meaning they have low HP. But there's one more category that I taught myself over the past week. This one in my opinion has the most potential for growth, as the first time I did this I was streaming it, and I'm not even joking when I say I died maybe 10 times within 10 minutes. My XP an hour was probably like 1.5k an hour, it was horrible. However, now that I've practiced, fire giants aren't as bad once you get the hang of them. It's definitely not an amazing task, but from my small sample, it looks like there are some single way combat tasks that we have to do, and I think fire giants would be a good one. Of course, I'm still using 2 alts, and similar to axes, since it's single way combat, they are both using Serp and Blowpipe for venom damage. However, the thing that makes this more unique and challenging is that what I try to do is pray melee while getting the fire giant low, and when they're low damage and after I've tagged it on JCW, I turn off Prayer and Venge myself, which actually makes a significant increase in the XP an hour. Since Fire Giants can hit you up to an 11, you can basically do 8 damage back to them in one tick. I also wear a Ring of Suffering for the recoils, but again, this generally took the most practice to get used to, and you need Venge if you want to get good XP rates here. One final thing I'll say about this task. In the first 10 minutes while you lose your aggro, you can obviously still do the task, unlike Axis, but you have to be extra careful. Because the spiders can come from behind and 2-hit you, or even better, the Fire Giants can bonk you at 10 and there's really nothing you can do about it. It's why I mentioned this definitely took the most practice to get down, but it gave a lot of dopamine once I was smooth sailing. Remember, I've only done 13 tasks, so I'm unsure if there's other single combat monsters that are worth doing, or if these guys are even worth doing. But like I said, once I saw 5k an hour and I don't have to wait 10 minutes at the start, I do think these could be worth doing for points. Anyway, boys and girls, I hope I explained everything well enough throughout the video. Like I mentioned, 99 Slayer is something I'm super passionate about and look forward to doing on my level 3 after my Max Keep speedrun series. So I hope you guys are okay if I quickly do that for a few months after maxing. I think I will end the video here, so be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I will attach a clip of me smacking Greeter Demons around for the final few minutes of the video, so if any of you are interested in gameplay of insane Slayer XP an hour, along with some fun music, feel free to stay. TY for watching everybody, and I will see you all next week when we're back to the maxing account. Peace out.